Animal Jam has a lot of lands in the game, and all these lands kind of serve as social hubs for players to interact with one another. With that in mind, it's kind of easy to forget that these lands do have kind of different terrains to them, that some of them look arguably pretty safe and some of them not so much. I've seen a trend on YouTube where people take certain maps and areas in games and rate them from how safe they are to how dangerous they are. Matter of fact, somebody has done this for Animal Jam dens before, which is also a pretty good video and gave me the idea to why not do this for lands. So in this video, we'll be going through every single land in the game, top to bottom, and checking out what is inside of them and rating it from how safe they are to how dangerous they are. With this, we're also going to take into consideration the journey book in the game for these lands, because these creatures that you can find in the journey book, they get pretty dangerous. And lastly, make sure to join the blue headdress giveaway in the comments, and more entries for that giveaway can be found in the description below. But without further ado, let's hop in to the first land. Yeah, so I'm recording this while I'm still kind of sick. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but having in and out cluster headaches, but I didn't want to just sit in bed doing nothing, so I figured what better way than to make an Animal Jam video. And you could tell by the intro that I probably recorded. We're gonna be ranking how safe the lands are. So this is the tier list here. We have got a complete list here of all the way from completely safe to you will die. Now there is probably more categories that I could have done, or I would have liked to done, but I don't think there's enough lands in the game to warrant that too much, where it can be too broad of a, kind of a spectrum, I guess. So we're gonna do it this way anyway. So to start out, we are going to be focusing on lands that are in both Animal Jam and Animal Jam Mobile. There are certain lands that are exclusive to Animal Jam Mobile, like Mesoterra and Moku'Ahi, but there are many lands that are also exclusive to Classic, like Balloosh, Kani Cove, Reef, Bahari Bay, and Deep Blue. And for convenience sake, we're just going to be covering both lands that are in both games in Classic, and then when it comes to the stuff in Mobile, we'll switch over to that game. But we'll start out here with the Classic Jamaa Township, and we'll work our way around the map. So I would argue this is probably the safest land in the game. I don't think there's like anything in this land that you could genuinely get injured by. Like, I'm looking around, and while this is like icy, snowy conditions right now, when the map is normal, it is probably 100 times safer than it is right now. I think the only risk you would have here is like submerging yourself in water, but like even still, judging based on how animals kind of walk in the water and it only goes past their feet and legs, you're probably looking at like a few, like 2-3 feet deep of water, so you're not at risk of drowning anyway. Given that this is a township, it's like they probably designed that with this in mind, like trying to make it as safe as possible, as most towns and cities in real life are. That's kind of what they're basing it off of, like a shopping district as well, given how many stores there are around Animal Jam as in Jamaa Township anyway. So I think this, is going to be a quick rating, but like judging by, the usual kind of non-seasonal version of Jamaa Township, it is pretty safe, as well as every other kind of seasonal ones. I would say the exemption of Night of the Phantoms version, but even still, you're not gonna die to any of those things that are kind of decorated around the land in the Halloween version of this. I'm just gonna say for argument's sake that, the things that might be dangerous are probably just props, given that it is a township after all. So we're gonna put Jamaa Township all the way in completely safe. I don't think anything else will be in completely safe, to be honest, but we're gonna put Jamaa Township up here. So next here we have Kimbara Outback, which I would probably say is pretty safe looking, to be honest. I would say the first kind of red flag here is the fact there's no kind of fencing along this area here. Like, you could fall if you're not careful enough, but given how far down the drop is, you're probably not looking at too far of a drop to the point where you'd break a bone. I would say the background looks like it's deeper down, but I feel like that's just like a kind of a slope going from this level of the terrain down to there, I would imagine at least. And even here, the water, as we can see, it's probably like 2-3 feet deep, so you're not gonna drown in this water unless you're like completely face plant down trying to submerge yourself in the water. Then like you're intentionally trying to drown yourself at that point. Otherwise, this looks like a pretty safe area. However, this is the first land we are rating that has creatures around it, has animals around it, just kind of walking around, because Animal Jam has this thing called the journey book, where there are going to be these kind of insects or animals, whatever, walking around, so you can click on them and kind of complete the journey book. But in this case, it kind of makes these lands more dangerous. Now, there's a tiger snake here. This is venomous, and it has enough venom to kill a large, strong animal. So I would say that's pretty dangerous. Now, I don't think any of these other animals or insects would be too dangerous to be around. You know, they look pretty cute and pretty tame. You know, I don't think an echidna is gonna attack you, or like a blue penguin. This guy's just chilling over here. Maybe a trapdoor spider. I don't know if they're really aggressive insects, but from what I know, if you get bit by one, it's not like too much of a threat. Now, the fact that this snake here, which I do believe shows up around here where I'm staying at, if that does attack you, there is one upside to this area. There is a animal hospital here. So it is called an animal hospital, but that's because you're playing as an animal. So I would imagine maybe it's probably just a regular hospital if you were to like visit this in real life, I guess. Or at least they would probably have some kind of facility there, or like some kind of supplies to treat a venom, you know, bite from a snake anyway. So I imagine you're probably going to be okay. Otherwise, I don't really see much of a threat here to Kimbara Outback, to be honest. You know, there's a furniture store here, and then there's like a pathway down to Jamaa Township, of course. So I don't know. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to put it down into you will sustain injuries. I'm actually gonna change this to you might, because while the snake is there, it's not like a guarantee it's gonna attack you. And otherwise, you know, if you're staying clear and being cautious, like you're probably good to go, to be honest. Yeah. Next up here, we got the Lost Temple of Zios. I think this is like probably one of my favorite lands in the game. There's a lot to offer here. Pretty cool stuff. So off the bat, we have two snakes here just chilling out. There is a python, and I believe this is called a tiger snake. Check my journey book. It's called a vine snake. I am wrong. Now, oddly enough, this one is venomous. I don't know if this is aggressive or not, but I do believe pythons aren't too aggressive. I don't think they're venomous either. I do know there's like a few people that watch my videos that like have snakes. That's, you know, like they keep a bunch of snakes and stuff, and probably more well educated on snakes than I am. But I'm just gonna say, for argument's sake, this is probably the only risk here. The only other thing that would look kind of intimidating would be the monitor lizard, which like a Komodo dragon, and this can be up to 10 feet long and 150 pounds. So it's, you know, for me, for example, it's if it's this, it's 10 feet long and 150 pounds. It's 4 foot longer than me and heavier than me. So, you know, it probably would be a scuffle anyway if it did attack. And based on its animation there, it did look kind of aggressive. It's just kind of running in and out. Monitor lizards dangerous. Okay, they can be pretty aggressive. Okay, that's good to know. That kind of changes the rating I was gonna give it, this land, because you got two threats pretty much, and it's more so on the right half of this area, I would say. There's also snakes here, which, I mean, these are pet snakes, so there's like probably a good chance that they're just gonna be chillers. You know, they're not gonna hurt you. So I'm gonna say, for argument's sake anyway, that these guys they're okay. Okay, but I think every other creature, and then the, you know, just the infrastructure of the land in general, you're probably looking at a pretty safe thing. You know, the water here, it's not too deep. Same with every other land. You're not gonna drown. You know, there are the needlefish here, which sounds pretty intimidating, but they are not aggressive towards humans from what I know. So otherwise, you are looking at a pretty safe land. Otherwise, it's just that snake and that big lizard that are your main concerns for here. Otherwise, you know, there's like a laboratory here. There is I don't even know what to call this. We'll just call it a library. It's called the Chamber of Knowledge, so I guess it's like a library. And there's like a observatory at the top or something like that. And then there's a pathway up to the adventure base camp, which I would say it's pretty safe as well. So I'm actually gonna put this in dangerous just from the snakes and the lizard alone. You know, we'll see if this, you know, rating changes at all down the list, because I feel like, you know, the more we rate, the more I might feel indifferent about certain areas anyway. Now we got Crystal Sands. This is an iconic land. You know, this had a few changes made over the years. We had a beta version of Crystal Sands. I think it was called Speedo Shores at one point when, you know, people managed to get there, if you remember that. But talking about present day Crystal Sands, it's pretty chill, I would say. You know, like it's like an average beach. You know, if you're kind of climbing up rocks, you're at some kind of level of risk. But, you know, given that's like a little pathway here, you're probably okay. You know, there is a bunch of slides here that are pretty safe. You know, you're not gonna fling off of them, you know, type of thing. As you can see here, I'm perfectly okay. I went down that easy peasy, no problem at all. So there's some netting here, so you can walk across there down to there. Walking across here, you know, we got some sun towels. There is a juice hut if you want to replenish yourself there. And there's even an aquarium over here if you can't get your rocks off with the fish swimming about here in the water already. Now, given that this does lead to, I believe this is Bahari Bay, I would say this water is pretty deep, because if I walk right into where my cursor is right now, I will go underwater. So there is some kind of risk there, at the very least, with this water. I would say the dark blue is where it is supposed to be, you know, you would be submerged underwater. Now, as for the creatures, you know, the little critters around here, I don't think flamingos would attack you. I think those are pretty chill guys. But as for everything else around here, we have the green iguana, which I don't think are too posing of a threat. Same with a basilisk lizard. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but who cares type of thing. We have a tapir. Don't know if I'm saying that right either, but you know, they look pretty tame. And otherwise, there is a crab, which, you know, if you walk on one or, you know, it's just near your feet, you're probably gonna get pinched, but you're not gonna like die or sustain like fatal injuries anyway. There is a centipede here, but you know, you're probably okay against those unless you run into, you know, a venomous kind. You know, there are 3,000 species, but it doesn't really specify which one is kind of walking about in crystal sands, so we don't really know. Well, otherwise, you know, the only threat you're really facing here is crabs, which you usually would at a beach, and drowning, which you also probably would at a beach. Trying to see if there's like a life ring around here, if I can remember. It doesn't look like it, so if somebody did, you know, go too far out or, you know, go too far deep into the water, you're kind of cooked, I think. So I don't know. I think this is it's not looking too good on the rating. I was wanting to, you know, another one to be completely safe, but I don't think it's too safe. So I don't think it's a level as dangerous as Lost Temple Zios is, but it's probably more safer than Kimbara, to be honest, given the creatures that are, you know, hanging about in Kimbara. But I think Crystal Sands is probably safer because these are things you usually you would be at risk to if you were to go to a beach in real life. So I think it's pretty okay. Next up here, we have Coral Canyons. Okay, this is probably one that's going to be a little risky because you're climbing up a mountain essentially here. There's no railings along the side here or anything like that. You're walking up here, you're pretty much at the side of a cliff here, trying to go into this tent, which I would say it's pretty, you know, it's a pretty steep entry point, and not to mention there's a cactus right there as well. Like, what if you tripped, fell into the cactus, and then fell off? You know, I don't know. You know, at the top here, there's like at least some kind of railing points. I don't know if that's really gonna protect you too much, but it would be better if that railing was all across down the way as well. I think that would be better. And there's this bridge here, which is notoriously known for breaking if there's too many people on it. So I think this itself is pretty risky as well. And judging by the drop here, it would probably be fatal if you fell. Not to mention, you know, the other like various types of cactuses or plants here that probably would give you injuries if you touched them or fell into them type of thing. You know, one upside, I guess, the water is not deep enough for you to actually be submerged into it and drown. But the things don't stop there anyway. That's like the only upside anyway. There's like 2 stores here. There's like an art studio, and then there's like Epic Wonders, which, I mean, you have to completely drench yourself in water to go into. So that pressure of water might concuss you for all I know. I don't know. So the safest point here is going to be the art studio anyway. But then we move on to what is in the journey book. We already covered the cactuses, or the cacti. So, you know, we've already established these are probably going to be like pretty dangerous if you touch them or fall into one. Then we go on to little critters around here. We have the tarantula. I would say it's pretty scary, but as it says here, they are quite harmless and their bite may be painful, but it's not lethal to a human, an adult human. So you will sustain an injury if you antagonize it anyway, from what I know. I don't know if there are like different types of tarantulas that are aggressive towards humans. There probably is. We have a rattlesnake. Kind of same story. Won't attack unless they are provoked, so you're probably okay if you avoid them as much as you can. A scorpion, though, there are 1,500 scorpion species. Only 50 of them have venom strong enough to kill a person, though. But it doesn't specify which kind of species the scorpion is that shows up on animaljam, so we don't really know. From what I know, they're not really aggressive unless like you are their prey, but I don't imagine they're gonna be aggressive towards like a 6-foot man, so I think I'm okay in that regard. Then we have honeybees as well. You know, those are pretty safe to be around, I think. You know, these are absolute chillers. You're not really worried about that. But otherwise, I think you're okay. You know, there's coyotes, but those are pretty far off into the land. Like those are like on an entire different mountain, it seems. Like they show up all the way over there. You know, you're not really at risk over there unless it's gonna make it the trip that seems to be like a good few hours on foot all the way over to this mountain and then climb up to get you, which I don't think is gonna happen. But otherwise, you're looking at a pretty dangerous land. Creatures that are around that are probably gonna be deadly unless you provoke them. A waterfall that you need to walk through if you want to go into a certain store, and then just probably railing safety concerns that are extremely dangerous and plants that are extremely dangerous. I would have to put this into dangerous. I'm gonna put it lower than Lost Temple of Zios. I think there's far fewer things in Lost Temple of Zios and Coral Canyons that are more dangerous to you, so we're gonna put it here. I think that's pretty fair. Now we got Sarepia Forest, formerly known as just Sarepia. This has also changed a few times over the years, I believe. You know, I think it's just added more stores, or certain stores were changed, you know, like the flag shop turning into the Hall of Animals, I think it's called now. But, you know, just kind of walking around, this seems like a pretty safe area and land, to be honest. You know, there's like some mushrooms here, but, you know, I don't think touching these would like be, you know, like a risk of like giving you a fungus or something like that. This seems like a pretty normal forest that you would encounter in real life, so you're probably at risk to the you know, the usual things you would be at risk to in a forest in real life, pretty much. I think there is like a, you know, some kind of level of guard railing safety concern here for sure, but I don't think it is as high as it was in Coral Canyons, to the point where if you fell you would die. I think you would probably break some bones though if you fell from the highest point, because it looks like this point is a bit further down, like up than this, so if you fell from this level you probably would just, you know, roll yourself down into this level. So I don't think there's a way you can drop from the tippy top all the way to the bottom without like your body landing somewhere in between these levels anyway. Then there's a safe with, you know, railing on the side so you don't just like fling off, and there is also a ladder there so you can get your way back up, so you are pretty fine, I think. But there are, I think, some safety concerns. Now most of these I think are fine. There's termites, but you know, I don't know if that's like dangerous to encounter in the wild. I know like it's dangerous if they're in your house, you know, if they like shoot through like a wooden beam, you know, that's supporting the house or something that makes it collapse type of thing. But I think generally termites to an average human, if you're like in contact with it, I don't think it's dangerous. I think the most dangerous thing here, you know, might be the mushroom. If like for some reason you interact with like a poisonous kind, you know, there is I thought this was going to say 2.7 billion species, but it does not. I just know there's a lot of species of mushrooms, and some of them are not safe to consume or interact with, but we'll just say for argument's sake that this is chiller. It's fine. This I know is, you know, it's called poison ivy for a reason, okay? You're gonna get a rash at the very least. And as it says here, leaves of 3, let it be. So, you know, usually if you're just avoiding these things, you know, you're just chilling about, you know, you're kind of as safe as you usually would be in a forest in real life. Kind of similar to Crystal Sands, like you're kind of you know, facing the same kind of level of concern you would be at a regular beach. For here, you're facing the same level of concern that you would in a regular forest in real life. With that being said, I think we're gonna put it above Crystal Sands, to be honest. You know, Crystal Sands, you have that level of, you know, drowning and falling off, you know, certain parts that will kill you. I think with Sarepia Forest, you know, you're only at risk of like falling off certain parts with breaking bones. I don't think it'll kill you, but I think there are certain parts like the poison ivy that probably would injure you, inconvenience you anyway. So I think it's probably the second safest land so far. Oh boy, we got Mount Shiveer up next here. Yeah, this is probably not a very safe one. This is probably gonna be the lowest rated one yet. Okay, first off, we're gonna choose the elephant in the room. This is a freezing cold climate. Okay, I don't know how cold of a comparison it would be to something in real life, because yeah, I live in Ireland. I've never faced like genuinely dangerous levels of freezing cold. You know, it's usually always just normal cold here, I guess. I don't know. So I don't really know what to compare this to, but you know, it's snowing. It's we're on the tippy top of a mountain where there is levels of ice here. I think, you know, it is probably pretty dangerous to be out in. Like you might be at risk of like hypothermia maybe if you're not careful. You know, there's a fire pit here to like warm up, but that's only gonna do you so much. You know, this is a mountain, as I said. You know, we're at the tippy top of a mountain here. You know, it's literally showing this on the banner right here, how far up, which, you know, from what I know, it's lower oxygen level the higher you go up a mountain because of the altitude. It's probably even colder with that in mind. And not only that, there is no railings whatsoever here, so it's pretty unsafe with that in mind. There is a tent here with a hot cocoa hut, so at least you won't starve or be dehydrated. And then there is this kind of hot pool, I guess, here as well, so maybe this can warm you up to some degree, I guess. There is also a frozen I don't know what this is. I'm gonna assume it's like a dinosaur. I don't know. It looks like Lapras from Pokemon, so I don't know. Otherwise, you know, we gotta focus on what's in the journey book. We got yaks, which I don't know, I think there's like yak farms in real life probably, so they can't be too dangerous or too aggressive towards human anyway. There's lemmings, which has a really funny dumb name to be honest with you, but they're cute little guys. I don't think they're gonna be too dangerous to you. There's partridges, which, no, I think all of these creatures here seem pretty safe. Himalayan tear, you know, different kinds of trees and plants and stuff and slates. You're probably okay in regards to creatures here. Well, to be honest, there probably is not too many creatures that would want to live in this cold environment in general, except for hamsters for some reason. I don't know why Animal Jam put hamsters here, but somebody please save these guys. Other than that, there is one thing I didn't address, and that is this red warning sign here. If there's too many people on this ice, it will break, okay? Now, technically, it's not going to fully break, as Animal Jam kind of just plays an animation of the ice breaking and that it doesn't actually fully break. Fun fact, they were gonna make this breakable. They had like an achievement plan for it and everything. Same with the bridge in Coral Canyons, but they didn't end up releasing that for some reason. I don't know. But in real life, if you were to do this, if that animation was to play, you would slip in, okay? The only reason you don't slip in Animal Jam is because it's Animal Jam. You're not gonna slip into a little crack of ice. In that case, you are probably gonna die. So where are we gonna put Mount Shiveer? I'm wanting to put it at the very bottom of dangerous, but I do think, given that it's a mountain, given how high up it is, the crackable ice, no railing around the mountain, so it's not like a regulated area, you know, it's just a top of a mountain peak, you know. You probably, if you are not well equipped, ready to go up there, and you are just generally just wandering around up there, you probably have a slim chance of living if you're not like equipped with the right equipment. Like, you need to be a professional hiker, I feel like, if you're gonna make a stay at Mount Shiveer. You know, otherwise you're kind of done for. Okay, now we got Appondale. This is probably one of the smallest lands in the game. You can pretty much see the entire land from the perspective I'm recording at right now, to be honest. It is pretty small. So we're just going to walk around here. It is pretty safe. There is mud here, but it's not enough to the point where you would be, you know, submerged and die. So you're probably fine in this. You're just gonna get dirty, you know, which is annoying, but that's probably it. There is, you know, a tree here. You know, it's like hollow out in the inside where there's a store inside, so you're probably okay. And there is a museum in here where, you know, you could donate to save the big cats, I guess. Whatever goes on in this museum nowadays, I don't know. Otherwise, from that standpoint, you know, this seems pretty safe. But there is a catch. Now, moles, I don't think are gonna, you know, give you too much of an issue. You're probably chilling. Same with the ants, and, you know, a zebra seems like it'd be pretty fine. I don't think those would be aggressive towards humans. I feel like you would actually have to like initiate initiate a fight if a zebra was to fight back from you. And even then, I think it'd probably just run away. The weaver bird just seems like it's doing its own thing, you know, weaving. Meerkats, you know, just kind of chilling as well. Same with this guy, the rock hyrax. Baller ass name, to be honest, for such a small little creature. There's a wildebeest, which I feel like might be a little dangerous. Okay, it says here a direct blow from their horns can lead to serious wounds or deaths, and they're usually only aggressive during one season. I'm not gonna allude to what that means, so depending on the time of the year, you're probably okay around these things. And there's like warthogs, which I don't imagine are aggressive. Yeah, it says inoffensive and avoids danger by flight. You're probably okay against that. The only thing here is the black mamba. It says they are very fast, highly toxic, and considered to be extremely dangerous, even though they actually will do everything they can to avoid humans. So, you know, you're probably looking at like a pretty safe land, even despite that. So I would say this is pretty safe. It's probably safer than some of the other lands I've rated like at, you know, you might sustain injuries. To be honest, this might be safer than Sarepia Forest, given that, you know, black mambas avoid humans. You know, that would probably be the only danger you could face there. Maybe the wildebeest as well, but I think this probably is above Sarepia Forest, maybe, given you're not at any other risk pretty much around Appondale. Now we got Balloosh. This is the first exclusive land in Classic. This is not in the mobile version of the game. I don't know why it isn't, but you know, there is a different land in place of where Balloosh should have been if it was in mobile. So I don't think this is ever going to be in mobile. So we'll enjoy it here in Classic. So this is probably the biggest land, I think, in the game. It's the most spacious one, it feels like, anyway. There's some kind of ruins here with stuff inside, you know, warring lore stuff, in my opinion. You know, there's a level up here with some water, you know, kind of water flowing down. There are some creatures that kind of, you know, make their ways around here, but we'll get to the creatures a little later. Down the stairs again we go. You know, there's a bridge across, you know, with stairs up around into this tree here, which has another ladder. I think it's just like a kind of a standing point. Kind of the biggest risk you would face here is like no railing. There is railing on this side. I don't know why there isn't on this side. And there's like a bridge down here into Appondale. There's more water down here with, I think, frog spawn probably, it looks like. More waterfalls, you know, there's a bunch of rocks here. There's a trail up to Mount Shiveer there, which is pretty dangerous, as we have established. And this water, you know, from where you can stand in, it doesn't seem like you would sink, but from this area here, it looks like you would probably sink, in all honesty with you. And then there's like this shop here. You can walk on the roof for some reason. I don't know why, but you can. And I guess that's pretty much it. I don't think there's really too much else about Balloosh other than critters that take habitation here. So we have lichen, combination of fungus and alga. So you know, it's probably fine to interact with, I'm just gonna guess. And there is leeches, which I don't think are too fine. Okay, I know there's like some medical treatments I think that leeches are used for. I don't know, I watched an episode of House and I had it. I don't know, but you're probably fine. There's a click beetle, you know, it's a beetle just swatted away type of thing. There's a swamp snake, but these are non-venomous and spend most of their time underwater, so you are probably okay. There is a toad. Now it does say here some toads can release poison from their glands, but it doesn't say which species of toad that is in Balloosh, so we're just gonna assume it's probably not poisonous, because there probably is less toads in the world that are poisonous than not poisonous. I don't know if I said that properly, but you get what I mean. There's a heron. I don't think this is gonna attack you, but it does say it stays still until their prey is close enough for them to strike, so just keep your distance, you'll be okay. There's a salamander here. That seems pretty small in the photo anyway, so I'm gonna assume it is okay. It does say their skin is poisonous though. It says they're harmless otherwise, so they wouldn't attack you, but if you like brushed against one or touched one, you're probably looking at a hospital visit. And then there's a duck, so I don't know. Otherwise, you know, snapping turtle as well, but like this is a turtle, just walk away, you are okay. Okay. Otherwise, you know, there's a, you know, usual safety concerns of like falling down, so like no railings, you know, we typically have been facing. We'll say, you know, the water may be deep enough to drown in if you're not careful. Given that you can't go down to this area, it probably is deep enough to drown if you fall in. This area also looks pretty deep. Get on with the salamanders as well. There are poisonous to touch. If you accidentally touch against one, if you don't see it coming, or like you don't see it in front of you type of thing, or you might think it's something else. You might think it's cute and touch against it, not know that, you know, it's probably the worst thing you could have done. Then you're kind of cooked. Otherwise, I would say this is a pretty safe area. I don't know. I'm trying to look for things that might make this more dangerous, but I'm kind of struggling. I think if you just stay clear, stay on path, you're okay. Otherwise, you're pretty good. I think you're pretty good. That being said, we're gonna put it here. Actually, I don't know. We'll put it here. I think Crystal Sands might be a bit safer. Actually, this kind of has like the same kind of level of threat as Crystal Sands, so I guess I'll just put them both together. But given Crystal Sands is the beach, I would imagine there's probably gonna be other people there. Maybe if you were like drowning in Crystal Sands, I don't know, just for argument's sake, you're gonna be okay. Okay, we're gonna be starting out here with the underwater areas now. So for this, it's a little weird because if you're going underwater in your life, you know, you're like swimming underwater, you're probably at like a huge level of risk. We'll just say for argument's sake, you maybe have like a scuba suit on, you know, you're scuba diving, or you have some kind of level equipment with like an oxygen tank type of thing. Because if you're just, you know, completely raw dogging and going under, you know, just swimming down from Crystal Sands, for example, you're probably gonna run out of breath and you're gonna die by you know, just drowning. So we're gonna, you know, just for argument's sake, have oxygen tank, have goggles, have whatever, you know, scuba suit. So swimming around here, you know, there is gonna be a lot of dangerous creatures, I think, in these underwater parts. There is the underwater base camp, which I don't know why it's giving me this still, because I am underwater. I think my account is like permanently glitched for some reason. I don't know, but I'm gonna assume from memory the base camp is pretty safe. I would like to think as Bahari Bay is like the Jamaa Township of underwater. It's like, you know, it kind of leads to, it has like different paths leading to every land, or 2 lands anyway at the very least you can go to, and then like a upper land as well, with this seahorse kind of being the Myra statue of underwater. But otherwise, you know, swimming around, you know, you're not really at too much of a threat. So we're really just kind of gonna focus on the creatures for this area, I believe, which is like an elephant seal. I don't imagine these guys are dangerous unless you like try to attack it for some reason, then you're probably okay around that. This is probably very intimidating looking, but this also only attacks if it's provoked, so you're probably okay. The eel though, this also looks pretty dangerous, but from this Google search, it seems like they only attack when provoked, so you are probably okay. Jellyfish, I don't know. I think will only attack you if provoked as well. You know, I hear about people, you know, getting stung at the beach or something, but that's usually because they just walk on a jellyfish most of the time. It's not because like a jellyfish is going, yep, I'm gonna sting you type of thing. I don't know, I could be wrong with that. You can correct me in the comments, but I feel like this is pretty safe as it gets for an underwater land. Otherwise, you know, you got the barrel sponge. I don't think these plants or, you know, seashells are too dangerous anyway. And given we are in like a full diver attire, we're probably gonna be okay. That being said, I think even with this diver attire, all of these lands are pretty dangerous. So we're gonna put this Bahari Bay in dangerous despite that. But this is probably the safest out of all of the underwater areas, I think, for right now. Next up, we got Kani Cove. This is a pretty small area, a little kind of nook and cranny, if you will. You kind of just swim across. It's like a horizontal kind of area. You know, there's like a shipwreck here, you know, there's a treasure chest there, so you can get some gold to ease your troubles, I guess. And I think that's, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, these underwater areas, it's not too much going on when it comes to this. You know, it's not like landmines or something like that that you might like approach into, but as I said, you're kind of only at risk to the underwater creatures and fish around here, so we're kind of just gonna be mainly focusing on those. There is a hammerhead shark. I would say this is going to kill you. Okay, it's swimming around in the distance at the top. I don't know if you saw that earlier in the recording, but it probably would spot you and it probably would kill you. Personally, I don't know too much about sharks, but how the media has portrayed them, I think that it probably would just swim towards you and kill you if it just saw you swimming around. There's a spotted snake eel. I think given your equipment, if this could like sting you or something, you should be fine. There is an Antalius here. Should be okay against this given your equipment. There's a manatee. I think this is very slow. It looks slow. You know, it's known as a sea cow as well, but it doesn't look too dangerous. It looks like a cute little guy. I think otherwise, like all of these are are probably pretty safe. You know, there's a parrotfish. This looks pretty derpy looking. And they are very inclusive. They can change between being male and female multiple times over their lives. So that's very awesome of them. Other than that, we have sea urchins. Obviously, this would like hurt if you like hold it in your hand, bare hand. But, you know, given we're like in full diver attire, I don't know if that would like pierce through a suit or something. Given there's a hammerhead shark, it swims towards you. I think you're kind of cooked. It usually swims out around here. Yeah, there it is, right there. It's probably gonna spot me, in all honesty. That's like pretty close. Okay, well, maybe you can just disregard everything I've said. That's like, maybe I should have Googled that, like, as I was talking about it, because now it's like, it's gonna make me really stupid. Well, I am stupid, but that's like, this is probably the safest land then. Probably safer than Bahari Bay. Man, kind of hoping it would be dangerous, because then, like, I could put it down here. Like, we haven't had anything down here yet. Ah, man. Unlucky. But maybe the next land we'll have something down there. Oh, no. Next here we got the big, great, deep blue. This seems like a dangerous place, okay? Just based off the map icon, you know, the bottom right of it is like a dark red. Like, you know, red isn't usually a color I would associate with the ocean, so the fact that it is dark red is kind of scary. But swimming around here, as I said, you're kind of not really too far of a threat. Maybe this is like a bit more threatful because of how deep it is in comparison to these other lands. So maybe that will probably risk a life threat at the very least. Like, you could run out of oxygen making it all the way down there and not be able to make it back up. But otherwise, we're probably just gonna have to focus on the kind of journey boat creatures that kind of do make their ways around here. And there is big ones. So we have the viperfish here. It says they can't close their mouths, which sounds like a painful life to live. That in mind, I don't know if it's able to bite down on you. So maybe you're okay against that. There's a gulper eel. This looks freaky as hell. I cannot lie to you. And they can eat food that is bigger than they are because of their expandable stomachs. That is insane. Like, I know most of you watching probably won't even get this far into the video because this video is going to be long, but you know, Animaljam is a really educational game. Like, I would not know about a lot of these things if it wasn't for the journey book. And I wish a lot of people did the journey book more often because, I don't know, I really like it. But look up, they can be dangerous to people, okay? This looks a lot scarier than the image they used in Animaljam. Okay, I'm gonna say that. Jesus Christ. That is intimidating looking. Okay, we have the oarfish here. You know, my first introduction to this was on Animaljam, but the most, you know, recent and rememberable anyway piece I see of this is in Animal Crossing. So, you know, used to be on the hunt for these to sell for bells type of thing. But they are 35 feet long and weigh over 600 pounds. So this would kill you if it landed on you, for example. But they are not dangerous to people. So probably okay against those. Anglerfish here, there's like 200 species of them. From what I know, they're too small to even attack you. Or even like, I know this one's pretty big looking, but from the Google search I did, it seems like they are too small to do anything. The giant isopod. They are scavengers, meaning they eat dead sea creatures. I don't think they would probably go after you with that in mind. I think they eat on dead creatures, meaning they probably wouldn't eat alive ones. But yeah, it says here they're non-venomous or poisonous. Yeah, they're harmless, so you're probably good against that guy. The fangtooth. This guy looks zooted out of his mind, okay? He just hit the pen. I don't know about this guy. This guy looks a little dangerous. But it does say here they are harmless. I feel like Animaljam just puts harmless ones here. Where's like the risk factor? Okay, now there's like a frogfish, but like, is this gonna kill you? Hell no! Look at this guy. Coelacanth. I'm not even gonna bother looking that up. That doesn't look like it would hurt me. And the hatchet fish as well doesn't look like it'd hurt me. Giant squid. Okay, this might be something posing a threat. Okay, it doesn't specify what kind of squid it is. It just says giant squid. So we don't know. Considering most of these, you know, related searches are about what should you do or what would happen if it attacked you. We're just gonna assume it's gonna be aggressive, or it's gonna like at least wrap you around its long tentacles or something. We're gonna assume it's dangerous. Plus, there's probably other creatures that would be around here, like this little crab. I don't think that's in the journey book, but I mean, I don't know. That's like, that obviously would not attack you, but that's proof that there are creatures that aren't documented in this book here, in the deep blue, that probably could be dangerous to you, like this little guppy guy right here. But that being said, I'm gonna put it in the slim chance of living, but I think it's probably gonna be lower than Mount Shiveer, or at least at the same level as it in that category, because you know, you have the risk of running out of oxygen given how deep it is. The creatures that are down there are going to be way dangerous than higher up in the sea. So you might be cooked. Okay, you might be cooked. And here we have Crystal Reef, this last land in Classic that we will be covering here for this list. This happy-go-lucky, vibrant land is giving me a headache. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is probably the actual smallest land in the game, maybe. I know I did say Appondale was, but this might be even smaller than Appondale. This I don't think is dangerous at all, to be honest with you. Like this is directly below crystal sand, so it's not too deep unless you voluntarily go into this cave. So you're not too much of a threat here. So we'll just move on to the journey book. And Jesus, why is there a whale? Where does the whale even show up? I don't remember. I think it like swims across here, but why is there a whale this high up and not in the deep blue? I don't get it. And why isn't there more sharks in the journey book, man? I could have put something down at the bottom of this list. Okay, there's a marlin. I don't think that's gonna do anything to you if you have a scuba equipment on. I think you're okay. I think the biggest threat here is probably, you know, just the whale. And I mean, I don't know about humpback whales. We'll do a quick Google search. It's no, it is not dangerous. They approach boats out of curiosity. I don't know why that's cute sounding to me, but it is. Okay, they're chillers, I guess. I don't know if there's like any threat here. Like there's a pufferfish here, like which if you were just swimming down from crystal sands, not too far down, yeah, you're probably gonna be hurt by this thing. But otherwise, you know, I don't think there's anything that really will kill you or anything. So yeah, it's probably the most boring one yet. We're gonna put this like, we'll just put it over here. Probably safer than the other three areas, to be honest. Probably safer than these two. So I'm just gonna put it over here. There will be some kind of readjustment to this list, I feel like, by the time this ends though. Okay, I think this is the first time I'm actually opening Playwild or animaljam mobile on this account. I don't know why, but my username is just invisible in the bottom left. By the way, we'll ignore that. It loaded me into one of the areas we needed to be, which is Moku'Ahi. So we'll just kind of look around here. And at first glance, this seems pretty safe, to be honest. It's like just a general island. You know, there's like a dock here, which has like a boat that comes from Jamaa Township, I believe. If you walk on around here, it's seemingly pretty okay. I don't know where this area leads to. Just into the ocean? Okay, that's pretty boring. Okay, so you're at like a risk to, you know, drowning if you go too far out into the water, pretty much. It is the ocean after all. Now, there is actually one big threat though that I'm not discussing. The fact that this is just a active volcano. So yeah, you are, if you go up this all the way to the tippy top, I don't know if you can actually go all the way to the top. Okay, you can. This is just an active volcano. Okay, this could erupt at any moment, from what I know. Obviously, it hasn't erupted yet. Otherwise, I feel like if animaljam did that, they would make it some big event. But if you go down the slide here, you know, it takes you in first person mode, which is funny. But you actually do go inside, and there is like hot molten lava inside as well. So while there is a bit of railing on the side of these slides, I wouldn't say it's out of possibilities that you might slip off into the lava. So I think this is pretty dangerous. I kind of just want to put it in the bottom category, just for the fact that this is an active volcano. Okay, these are generally like, you know, frowned upon to be visiting. So I don't know. So if we're like looking at this in real life, dormant ones are apparently more dangerous. I did not know that. It doesn't sound like it would be, but apparently it is. But volcanic activity also produces hazards that affect areas far from the volcano, such as tephra or ash falls, release gas, and tsunamis. Okay, given that we're on the island that has the volcano on it, I don't think we're at risk to a tsunami, unless it's pulling in the water or something. I don't know. Well, given this, I think it's pretty dangerous. Okay, well, it says it's like safe if it's like monitored and stuff, but I don't know. This doesn't look too monitored to me. Like, the only thing monitoring it here is, you know, Leilani, which I don't know. People call her a scammer, so I don't really know. Like the fact that this is like an active volcano, it's smoking out at the top. Like, this could erupt at any time. Hold on, we're getting educational here. Given there is a large cloud, we'll say, coming out from the top here, we'll say that this is close to erupting. And we also need to put something at the bottom, so you will die, okay? Can't argue with that. It's also very unsupervised, and yeah, you probably are gonna die, okay? We'll just say that. And the last one here, we have Mesoterra. I can't show footage personally of my own POV because you need like a dinosaur on game to access that land or something. I don't know, something really dumb. I don't really play animaljam mobile, so I'll just throw some footage on screen of somebody else's POV and, you know, I'll credit them in the description. From what I know, there's literal dinosaurs here, so you probably will die, okay? I don't think dinosaurs, you know, there probably is some chill ones for sure, but you're probably at very high risk of just getting attacked no matter what you do. Okay, I know dinosaurs are extinct, so like this area would not exist in real life, but yeah, this is an animaljam video, okay? Don't argue with logic. We're gonna put it down there. Okay, we'll put it down there. You will die because there is dinosaurs. You are probably at very high risk of just being attacked. You are probably going to die, okay? And I don't know why Appondale is here twice, but I guess you can go up there again. That is the complete list, ladies and gents. It is not as packed as I would think it would be. A lot of, like, you know, you might get hurt areas, but there's a lot of dangerous ones too. So I think mostly a lot of these lands are safe, so you're probably okay. I think animaljam's kind of designed with that in mind, even though like there are facts that saying like these animals will kill you. I think they try to like design it as like safe looking as possible anyway, given that it is a kids game. But yeah, that'll wrap it up here. Haven't made a tier list video in a while, thought I would switch it up with this one. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see more tier lists in the future.